What is up, guys? It is RSC6414 here, back with another video. This time I'll be previewing and predicting another conference basketball tournament. Yes, I am going to keep going. The American Athletic Conference basketball tournament, the 2014 American Athletic Conference tournament. It is college basketball, of course. Time to preview and predict every game who I think and who I do not think will move on. The tournament starts tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. 10-seeded South Florida Bulls versus the 7-seed Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Overall, South Florida has not had a good year. They were 3-15, if I'm not mistaken, in the American Athletic. Whereas Rutgers had an okay year. They were, not really okay by any means, but they were 5-13 in the American Athletic Conference and 11-20. Overall record for South Florida is better, but conference record, Rutgers. The tournament's happening in Memphis this year. Rutgers has been in the Big East for years, so same as South Florida. They just transitioned to the American Athletic last year for football season. So it'll be interesting. This will be the inaugural American Athletic Conference basketball tournament. It should be interesting, but 7-seed Rutgers versus 10-seed South Florida. I'm going to have to pick the 10th seed South Florida. I think South Florida is going to come in here. They're going to just know no one's expecting them to win. Neither team is that great. For a 7-seed, that's not pretty good for Rutgers. So I'm going to have to pick the upset a little bit here when pick South Florida, even though some may consider an upset, some may not. But my pick, the 10-seed South Florida Bulls. The next game we have is the number 9 seed UCF Knights taking on the 8-seeded Temple Owls. UCF's had okay teams in the past. Temple's always had some pretty good teams. This year, Temple's not played as well. And it shows, obviously. It should be interesting here who will pick up the win. It's pretty evenly matched, I think. Temple started off pretty slow. They were on a big losing streak. They sort of won some. They won some more games, got a little bit back on track. 4-14, the American Athletic. They used to not have a win at all. UCF's 4-14 as well in that American Athletic. So it's evenly matched. I'm gonna have to pick the 8-seeded Temple Owls here to pick up the win. I think Temple will advance here and get the win. So my pick, the 8-seeded Temple Owls. The next game we have is if plays out 6-seeded Houston versus 3-seeded SMU. Larry Brown coaches SMU. They've had a great year this year for their standards in basketball. They've never been known for the basketball. SMU's had a great year. They're in the tournament right now, and I think even if they lost this game, they'd be in the tournament, because they're in the top 25, if I think like 22. But it should be interesting. I'm going to pick SMU here to pick up the win. I think they're going to beat Houston, and I think SMU's going to steamroll over them, to be honest. So my pick, the SMU Mustangs to pick up the win over 6-seeded Houston. Next game, 3 p.m., If my picks play out, South Florida, the 10 seed versus 2 seed Louisville, 3 p.m. Eastern. I think Louisville will crush whoever wins that South Florida Rutgers game. So I think Louisville will end up crushing South Florida in a pretty big blowout. So my pick, the 2-seeded Louisville Cardinals to beat the 10-seeded South Florida Bulls. The next game we've got 7 p.m. Eastern. On Thursday, like I said, quarterfinal Thursday. Temple, if my prediction holds, number 8 seed Temple versus number 1 Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is really good. They've got Kilpatrick. He's their star of their team. Some people are picking them as a sleeper in the NCAA tournament. This could be a good game here. I think it's a game to watch out for. I think Temple could give Cincinnati a run for their money for the first half, and maybe Cincinnati pulls away in the second half. I'm going to have to pick number 1 seed Cincinnati. I really don't see Temple winning, but I do see Temple kind of putting up a good showing here. So my pick, the number 1 seed Cincinnati Bearcats to move on to the semis. And the final game of the quarterfinals, number 5 Memphis Tigers taking on the 4-seeded UConn Huskies. This should be a good game here. Two teams that are in the tournament already. Memphis is playing. This tournament is in Memphis, so they'll have the fans behind them. UConn, they've got Shabazz Napier and number 5 Memphis. I mean, they've got a lot of stacked good prospects. This should be a good game. I'm going to have to pick the 4 seed UConn Huskies. I think they're going to pick up the win here over Memphis and advance. Even though it's in Memphis, I'm still going to give the advantage to UConn here. In my opinion, I think they're a little bit better. They're evenly matched, but I see UConn picking up the win here and advancing. So my pick, the number 4 seed, UConn. And then we've got semifinals on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. You will have the 2-seeded Louisville Cardinals versus 3-seeded SMU. I think Louisville's going to pick up the win here. I think it should be an okay game, but I'm going to have to pick Louisville. I think, to be honest, I think Louisville's just as good as Cincinnati. So I think Louisville's going to win here and beat SMU. I think Louisville's going to beat them pretty handedly. SMU's good, don't get me wrong, but I think Louisville, you can put them in a different category. So my pick, the Louisville Cardinals to beat SMU. And then we've got the next semifinal, number 1 seed Cincinnati versus 4-seeded UConn. This match should be good. Two former Big East opponents, very familiar with each other. This could go either way. I could easily see Connecticut upsetting Cincinnati. It's not really too much of an upset, but as far as 1 versus 4 seed, it could be considered one. I'm going to have to pick Cincinnati here. I think it'll be a close game. I could see this going into overtime, even double overtime game. But I'm going to have to pick Cincinnati here with the advantage and squeak out a win here over UConn. And then if my predictions hold true, Saturday, the championship game. In Memphis, Tennessee, not Memphis. Louisville versus Cincinnati in Memphis, Tennessee. 2-seeded Louisville taking on 1-seed Cincinnati. I think that's how it's going to play out. I think this is probably the most predictable tournament, in my opinion, is the American Athletic. I think you can kind of pick out who you think's going to win, and it's just the last 5 teams are a lot worse than the first 5 teams, in all honesty. But this should be an okay game. I think it'll be good, back and forth. We've seen it before, and it was okay the first time. I think it'll be good this time as well. I'm going to give the win here to 2-seeded Louisville. I think Louisville is going to win this American Athletic Conference basketball tournament. I think they're going to end up taking the tournament and taking the trophy home. So my pick, the Louisville Cardinals to pick up a good win and win the conference college basketball tournament, head in to the big dance with some momentum. So my pick, the Louisville Cardinals. Hope you enjoyed this video of the American Athletic Conference Tournament predictions. There will be more conference tournament predictions, don't worry. Hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my other videos and subscribe. Thanks, guys.